Hi guys, welcome to our channel Cricket. So here we have today with us Ritik once again. So we're here, we're discussing four IPL teams. So the previous time we had good response from the audience when we discussed four interesting teams: RCB, KKR, Gujarat Titans last time around, and this time around we will be having the top two teams rather I would like to call from this IPL, the most successful teams, if you could say, CSK, Mumbai Indians at one end, and the runner-ups of IPL 2024, SRH, and the inaugural champions, Rajasthan Royals, right? Then, so, talking about CSK, right? So they've started with, let's say that, they are a team who have always are dependent on their core. And I think that is the success formula. In fact, not only for Chennai Super Kings, even for the Mumbai Indians, right? So they are
Yeah.
someone who always would want to build that Indian core, or rather, not that Indian core, but who always treat their players like a family, right? So in that regard, they're always very good. And CSK, going on with five retentions, and the most talking point, during the retention period, or even at this point in time, right, is getting MS Dhoni at 4 crore. Yes, people talk about the fact that he's way past his 40s, but I think more than MS Dhoni, the batter at this point in time in his career, more importantly, you want him on the field, helping the likes of Rutraj Gaikwad, just guiding the youngsters around you. So most importantly, I think their team was pretty much set inside the retentions, and all they had to do was they had five players whom they could depend on, post the retentions. But this time around, they had to fill those six slots, and we could say that they have done pretty well. What do you think?
Yes, I personally think that they have almost recollected the most of the players that they had earlier as well. If we go through the lineups, most of the players, if we see that are going to be in the first 11, I've played for CSK before. If we see here, they have Devin Conway, they have gone back with Sam Curran as well. A lot of all rounders. Again, domestic importance
Yes.
is also back. So yes, I think CSK is probably one of the only teams that out of most of the seasons have been successful in their auction strategies, and we have seen the results as well. Obviously, more successful team they have. And there's a debate as well between CSK and Mumbai. Mumbai has played more seasons than CSK, to be honest. So in
Yes,
that,
yes, true.
CSK has won equal time. So I think personally, if someone will ask me who is the best team in IPL, I think that is CSK because they have qualified more times as well. So for me, I think the consistency factor is slightly higher
Exactly.
rather than so that's consistently make it into the playoffs as well. So I think in this 11 as well, typical CSK team, if I can tell that. If we see the squad as well, they have gone back with Rahul Tripathi. Rahul Tripathi is always, you can see, he's a player that obviously will suit a team like CSK, and he has played for RPL, this Pune Super Giants as well,
Pune
Rising
Super
Pune
Kings,
Super.
yes.
He's there in the he was there in the setup of Stephen Fleming, MS Dhoni. So again, very similar setup will be there. But yes, over and all, I think what the objective was before the IPL auction, I think they have successfully executed 90% of it.
Yes, I mean, you rightly mentioned that. I mean, they have that typical CSK template, to be honest, because, I mean, it's not a surprise, right? Like in most of the mega auctions, you see that CSK would add a dimension or two to their squad. But if you can, recollect from very recent mega auctions, right? Like the 2018 mega auction, they were desperate to buy back someone like DJ Bravo. They were desperate to get someone like Faf Duplessis. If you get to 2022 auction, like they retained most of their players, or rather not retain, but buy back most of their players in the auction. The likes of Ambati Raidu, they had bought back the likes of Mitchell Santner. They had gone back for DJ Bravo. So, I mean, this is typical CSK kind of an atmosphere that they set. And talking about the purchases that they have made in the auction, I think their best buy, most of them would say Noor Ahmed, but I think Sam Curran at 2.4 crores is one of the best steals of the auction, according to me, as far as CSK are concerned. Because an all-rounder like Sam Curran, yes, in the past few years, he's got for big money in the mini auctions, and you actually cannot judge a player's a monetary benefit in a mini auction, in my opinion, because the supply and demand is very less in a mini auction. But considering the mega auction, I think they've got Sam Curran for a very good price. He's going to be that bridge between the batting and bowling, in my opinion. And most importantly, they've bought back Ravichandran Ashwin as well. So Jadeja and Ashwin back at Chepauk is going to do wonders. It has done wonders for CSK. They're
Yeah.
hoping to repeat that, or rather ensure that they might replicate that as well. And talking about Noor Ahmed, I mean, it was a very surprising by, in my opinion, because it was a plan. I mean, it was a proper plan that you could understand when Stephen Fleming went all the way for 10 crores, because the moment Gujarat Titans had used their RTM. If we could have observed, Stephen Fleming was pretty much, showing his hands 10 crores, straight away. So I think that was the plan to, put that spin choke that has helped for CSK over the years. So I think, what do you think about that strategy? And to add on to that question as well, at Chepauk, it's going to definitely work for them. 12 overs of spin, it's
Yeah.
going to work for them, because Dew was a factor last year as well. I mean, if you could remember the game where Marcus Stoinis got runs, in that
Yes.
game, I definitely think Dew was a factor. So how is that Dew going to play a factor this year? That is something that we have to wait and watch. And most importantly, if they move away from Chepauk, what is going to be their strategy?
I think specifically, if you see the kind of players they have, obviously spin is something that they have prioritized a lot. But I think the kind of players they have gone with is they can play more importantly in all kind of situations. If we go with the likes of Nathan Ellis as well, again, Nathan Ellis is someone that will be better in CSK conditions, the slow surface with the cutters and the back of the hand deliveries. But yes, most of the players are compatible in most of the situations in IPL if we talk about. But yes, specifically if we go with Noor Ahmed, but I think if we talk about the finals as well of CSK and GT that happened 2 years back, he was the only one who sustained the pressure as well, and at the same time got crucial wickets. So I think specifically the first 11, when a team enters into an IPL auction, first priority is to make a team that suits their home conditions. But I think nowadays, with playing so much cricket in India, almost every player is accustomed, especially in IPL. Most of the players know what is the condition, what will work in Ellis, what will work in Lucknow, what won't work. Chinnaswamy. So I think conditions are not a big factor because all international players they can quickly adapt. But every player has a specific set. This every player has a specific place that he can be strong. So I think in terms
True,
of that,
true.
they have gone with a team that will obviously be very dominated in CSK conditions, but at the same time they can adapt. They can adapt to different conditions. For example, if they go and play in Wankhede, they have enough players to have that quick fast bowling as well. They have Kamlesh Nagarkoti as a backup. They have Jamie Overton as well. Again, with that
Khalil.
bounce can be effective. Yes. So I think they have a very balanced team, and I don't think conditions will play a that big factor. But yes, if they play most of the games in Chepauk, then again this team is going to be very difficult to be beaten because we have seen most of the players. I was just going through the all-rounders as well. Most of the players can bowl spin. If they have gone with Deepak Huda specifically, he'll be very effective. If any day Jadeja is not working or Ashwin is not having a good day, obviously he can come in and bowl with two overs of off spin. So I think yes, the priority is given according to the CSK conditions, but at the same time, I think they can adapt to different ground conditions as well. So I don't think that will be a problem.
Yes, and you rightly mentioned that, and you brought in the point of Rahul Tripathi as well at the initial part of the video. I think that is going to be a good replacement, because last season I think it is where somewhere where actually CSK had struggled, right? So some department was, because they tried to play Ajinkya Rahane, they rotated with Rachin Ravindra, so they were rotating players for that particular slot. But otherwise, yes, they've got a perfect number three. That is what I think. But any day, the perfect number three, is going to go to Suresh Raina. Yes, but still, Rahul Tripathi is some way, in the modern era, I think he might be one of the better India number threes, if you could see. Yes, and moving ahead, it's something that I think we should talk about. The Indian middle order, the two main Indian batters that they've got. I think two underrated picks. You brought in the point of Deepak Huda and Vijay Shankar as well. And both of these bowlers can actually be handy with the ball. So what
Yeah.
it actually means is that it will deepen the batting lineup, right? If you can play either of them in the 11, or if you can play one and maybe have another as an impact substitute. Let's say that you can play Deepak Huda on the 11, or rather vice versa, you can bring the other all-rounder as a impact player. So I think that is going to make the batting better. And I think CSK in one way, people have also spoken about the fact that Deepak Huda hasn't been at his best, in the past 2 3 seasons. But I think the role definition is something that is very very important for someone like Deepak Huda, and for Vijay Shankar as well, because we've seen him do well in Gujarat Titans when he was promoted up the order. in the 2016 season as well, if you could recollect, even SR, if even playing for SRH, Vijay Shankar has had few partnerships along with David Warner as well. Even if we could recollect, so top of the order, I think Vijay Shankar could be a surprise package for many of the teams, or rather for the opposition teams. So I think they could utilize in that manner as well. And the CSK flexibility is there. I mean, so what do you think on this point?
Yeah, specifically, I think if I have to associate a word with CSK, I think flexibility will be that word because that is the pattern from the very first season. They had likes of LB Merkel, Chris Morris in the middle as well. They MS Dhoni and Stephen Fleming like all rounders. Again, if we see in this 11 as well, they have Rachin Ravindra, they have Ravichandran Ashwin, they have Shivam Dubey as well. Ravindra Jadeja is that most of the players that are going to play are all rounders. And yes, talking about flexibility, Vijay Shankar can have the best season this time. If we talk about the IPL seasons that he had earlier, yes, on and off seasons, I'll say not the best according to his standards because he's someone who could have contributed more, keeping in mind the conditions of GT. But yes, more importantly, he was not very permanent as well in the 11. He was in and out. If I talk about the Gujarat Titans setup, but in Chennai, he knows the condition. He has played well. He has played for a long time in these conditions. He has captained the team as well. If I talk about the domestic side, and more importantly, he's in a good form at this moment. At this moment, he's in a good form. He's playing really well in Syed Mushtaq Ali the day we are recording this video. So again, with that, all the conditions and more importantly, as you mentioned, the role that will be given to him. Probably he'll be used as a floater depending on the condition. But I think he can have one of the best seasons of his career. And talking about Deepak Huda, I personally believe that he has got enough opportunities. To be honest, with
Mm,
LSG as well, ground conditions were so difficult for a batter like him to survive. Because
true.
if we talk about Lucknow, for the likes of batters like Nicholas Pooran, Marcus Stoinis, these are the batters who are slightly more successful because of the range hitting that they had. But I think this ground can be slightly better. This ground can be slightly better for Deepak Huda. But yes, talking about flexibility, the reason why they have so many all rounders is probably they want that flexibility. I don't think there will be many changes in CSK, and that's how they operate their complete season. But I think there will be shuffle in orders depending who is bowling. If there's a right arm off spinner, they will send someone like Deepak Huda earlier. If there's a lefty who is bowling from both ends, they can probably go with Sam Curran or Shivam Dubey or even
Sure.
Jadeja. Yeah, so I think that left and right hand combination, the game of angles we always talk about, I think for that, CSK is probably the best suited team. So yes, I think flexibility will be there.
Yeah, definitely, and I mean, I personally have this concern whether they have the best of the finishers. Yes, you brought in the point of Jamie Overton as well, but how far? I mean, he's not the proven commodity as far as IPL is concerned. Yes, he's been very good in the Abu Dhabi T10 league as well, which was recently concluded. But in that case, but do you think that the likes of Sam Curran, Ravindra Jadeja, or rather MS Dhoni, who can play that, who's been playing that maybe 6 to 10 balls in the last couple of seasons that he's played. So will that firepower be enough in venues like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, where you had to, go for big scores like maybe 220s? I think these days 200 has become a par score in those kind of flat wickets, right? So. What do you think? Do you think that firepower is slightly missing?
Yes, I think yes. If we talk about, I think there are two aspects in CSK. I think death bowling is something that obviously I think yes, Pathirana is there, but I personally think they'll be needing at least one more bowler. Let's see how domestic players perform. But yes, coming back to your point, I think yes, talking about the middle order, the lower middle order, CSK never had any power hitter like Andre Russell or anyone of that sort like De Villiers, Miller. They always were very dependent on MS Dhoni and Jadeja. But I think at this moment, the role of I think Shivam Dubey will be really high, especially in these venues where there's high scoring encounters. Shivam Dubey will be the one who has to take the onus and like, okay, boss, this is a high scoring game. Surface is flat. I think he'll be the one in those conditions to take the responsibility of adding those quick 40, quick 50. But yes, I think with Ravindra Jadeja playing for CSK, that's a different commodity altogether. We can't see that Jadeja in
Mhm.
international in T20s. He has done well in ODIs and Test, but I think in T20s, what he has done for CSK, we have very rarely seen anyone like that, anyone with that kind of a performance. But I personally think that yes, this is the pattern that they have followed for a long time. They never had any power hitters, but they have done well, even with the likes of Shivam Dubey, with DJ Bravo, and now obviously he's not there, but they have gone with some other players. Sam Curran
Sam
will
Curran.
always yes, play a bigger role. I don't personally think that Jamie Orton will be there in the first 11
Yeah,
because
yeah.
obviously Sam Curran will get the priority. But I personally think yes, this more importantly they'll be playing most of their matches in Chennai, so I think this order will work. But yes, in the conditions where it's a flat surface, I think in there Sam Curran, Shivam Dube, these players have to take the onus.
Yeah, I mean, rightly said, and even I mean, if you want to conclude about the Chennai Super Kings, right? If you ask my opinion, I think if they can win 5 or 6 out of their 7 games at Chepauk, I think they are well sorted, and the team is well sorted for those conditions as well as we have discussed, correct? So the most important thing is that, like the previous season, they didn't have that luxury of winning all the games, or rather, like they lost close games even at Chepauk. So I think that
Yes.
had affected them last season. But as far as this season is concerned, they have a proper team for those home conditions. And if they can do well there, I think they can even manage to win 2 or 3 away games. They should be sorted. So what do you think?
I personally think I think death bowling is going to be an area where I think they have to find someone to support Pathirana. At this moment, Mukesh Chaudhary again. Last year, I don't think he played because of the injury, and he's someone who is very
Yeah.
good with the new. Same is the case with Anshul Kamboj. They have very good new ball bowlers, but in to finish in depth, I think they have to go with Nathan Ellis at some point. I'm not sure when he'll make into the 11, but I think he's someone they have taken because of his death bowling only, because they have enough power with the new ball. They have likes of Khalil Ahmed as well. So yes, the opening bit is sorted, but I think with in death bowling, they'll be needing someone along with Pathirana to have that partnership, to have that support as well. But that's the only area I think that CSK is slightly weak. Let's see how he operates, because he has planned for everything. MS, they find some of the, even we have
Some.
they have, yeah, they have done that with most of the season. They have done that. Any all-rounder will come in quick, and for example, Sam Curran, as you were just mentioning, Sam Curran will bowl the 19th over, 17th or 19th or
Mhm.
18th. So he has that knack of bringing the best out of the player. So they can do that. But I personally think if there was any specific Indian bowler who could have been more effective in death, for example, likes of Harshal Patel or any other bowler similar to him, I think that would have
Mukesh Kumar.
made, yeah, Mukesh Kumar as well. That would have made the team even more strong. I think even Natarajan could have been a perfect pick for Chennai Super Kings. But yes, nevertheless, I think this can do the job.
Yeah, pretty much. So their home is going to be of prime importance, as we have discussed. And yes, moving to their arch rivals, Mumbai Indians. So what do you think about? I mean, their 11. In my opinion, half of their work was done in the retentions. If you could ask the best retentions done, I think definitely I'll rank Mumbai Indians at the top. And from there on, what they had to do was pretty simple. I mean, they had to fix in 6 slots, and they've gone into the auction, done that perfectly, in my opinion, because they've bought back Santner, or rather bought in Santner. They wanted that spin at Wankade, because that was something that they were lacking for the last 3 to 4 seasons, because they had a lot of hopes on Piyush Chawla as well. So bowlers like that. So what tends to happen is now they have Mitchell Santner, and with that they've bought in Trent Bolt as well, Bumrah and Bolt. We remember the magic that they created in 2020, right? So being an unplayable bowling lineup with the new ball especially, and most importantly, they've gotten Deepak Chahar as well. And if you could
Yeah,
see, I think if Deepak Chahar can stay fit for 14 games, right? It's going to be a difficult task altogether, because if you can ensure that they bowl 3 overs in the power play, 3 each, that is Bolt and Deepak Chahar, if they can bowl 3 overs each, it's going to make Bumrah's role more easier. You can
yeah.
have almost 3 overs at the death for Bumrah. Why not? You can have maybe 15, 17, 19, 16, 18, 20. It's going to be a nightmare for the batter. So, I mean, what do you think about those picks?
I think probably one of the best teams of the tournament. I personally think with the kind of players they have, they can easily win the tournament. As simple as that. Because as you mentioned, every area is covered. Obviously, that wicketkeeper batter everyone is talking about, I don't think that will make a big difference. But the kind of balance they have, if we talk about the top order, even in the middle, especially with Tilak Varma scoring centuries, I think the last nail in the coffin is done, because Surya Kumar Yadav already you can see that he's the Indian captain of the T20 side, and with the likes of Rohit Sharma, Ryan Rickleton, they have gone with. But let's see. First of all, we'll see the domestic side as well. So Tilak Verma, we already mentioned Namandir again. They have given that confidence to him, because He's coming off a good form. He's playing well in this Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. He has done well in the domestic tournament of Punjab as well, and they have gone with few handy power hitters. Obviously, they have Hardik Pandya, and now with the 1 second they have Will Jacks as well. So I think we were talking about spin
Yes.
bowling option along with Mitchell Santner. Again, he's someone who will go with that option. And yes, obviously in bowlers as well, Trent Bolt is there, Karan Sharma is there, Deepak Chair we already discussed about. I think most of the 11, I think it was already prepared before the auction as well, as you mentioned, because of the retentions that they had. But I think I can't find any area where they are lacking from top order to the last, and especially with impact player as well adding in, it's going to be very difficult for the teams.
Yeah, I mean, a lethal side definitely, and they've covered most bases as well. There is no doubting that. And if you could ask my opinion, I think Rohit Sharma at the top. I think they might use Ryan Rickelton, or if you want to play Will Jacks at the top, you can play Will Jacks, and you can play with Robin Mills because he's proved to be a decent finisher for Jharkhand. So you can take that risk because having such a deep batting lineup, I think you can afford to play that wicket keeper. I think that is the only weakness. Maybe in my opinion, I could have they could have rather gone for just someone like Johnny Bairstow at the top, who could who could be a tested commodity rather. But yes, whatever said and done, I think if you can play Will Jacks and Rohit Sharma at the top of the order, then you can have the likes of Tilak Verma, Surya Kumar Yadav. You can have Hardik Pandya. So this looks to be a solid batting lineup, right? So from then on, if you can have Santner, Bolt, Deepak Chahar, and if you want Karan Sharma as well. So
Yeah,
what it automatically does is it will have Mitchell Sant. You will have Mitchell Santner in your lineup. You'll have Will Jacks and you'll have Karan Sharma as well. So which will nearly guarantee you 10 to 12 overs of spin. So and
yes.
at Wankhede, does it really matter to have 10 overs of spin? That is a question that you would like to answer. And more importantly, I think the cheat code that they have is Bumrah is a cheat code altogether. That is a different scenario altogether. But as far as spin is concerned, the most underrated spinner in world cricket, in my opinion, they have Mitchell Santner. Because
Yeah,
Mitchell Santner on any wicket, I think if he even doesn't pick wickets, I think his economy is not going to go above 8. So I think even in Mumbai, he's going to be very solid at Wankhede.
I think Mitchell Santner has to be there in the 11. That's the conversation I was having with one of my friend regarding Mitchell Santner for ages now. He's there in CSK. He was there in CSK for a long time. I don't know why they didn't play him. But I personally think this is the best time for MI to take that advantage because whatever the condition is, whether the track is spinning or not, he is going to give you good 4 overs with economy of around 7.5, and that you have to take any day. Because now normally I
Exactly.
was I was Ashwin as well few days back. He's like you're saying that in T20 cricket it is always not about taking wickets. If someone can provide you 4 good overs with 27, 28 runs, that will make a big difference. If the opposition is 30 runs short, easily you'll win the match. Because in IPL, the competition is that much, 10, 15 runs difference is good enough to decide which team is winning. So I think, yes, as you mentioned, Mitchell Santner has to be there personally in the playing 11. But talking about spin, I think Namandir is also there with his
Yeah,
right arm off.
he can also
So he's,
roll arm, yes.
so it depends whether that will be needed or not. But yes, Rickelton is also a wicket keeper, right? So I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
between
Rickelton
Robin
is also.
and Ryan Rickelton, they have to decide. With impact player, they can go with Ryan Rickelton as well, but that will, I think, we'll get more clarity after seeing the first few games.
Yes, but I mean, talking about the foreign combination, as you brought that point, I think they starters in the 11. I think three definite starters. They're going to go ahead with Will Jacks. They're going to play Trent Bolt, and they have to play Santner, in my opinion, right? So the fourth player, I think, is someone like Ryan Rickelton. If you want to take that risk, or rather not that risk, you want him to play in the initial games, you can actually try it out because he's been a integral part of my Cape Town in the SA20 as well. So they have that backing. The management, that setup knows about Ryan Rickelton's game. So basically, I think they might play him as well.
Yeah,
But yes, I think the foreign comedy is also pretty much set as you mentioned. So I think they can go ahead with Ryan Rickelton. But if you could see, I think that is the only solid weakness that they have, in my opinion, because if either of, or rather both of Ryan Rickelton or Robin Mins don't deliver as per expectations, right? They might struggle. I think not struggle. Maybe struggle is not the exact word, but that might turn out to be a weakness for them. Maybe will that that will try to change the combinations or bring in a lot of permutation combinations. But with Maila Jayawardene out there, I think all those things might be slightly sorted.
Yes, definitely. I think these all things will be planned accordingly and according to the conditions as well, which player can suit at what position. But yes, talking about Ryan Rickelton, I was just going through the team squad here. If he's there, he can't be used as an impact player because he's a keeper. If he is given priority as a wicket keeper
Yes.
batter, he has to be there. So I think the priority will be given to Robin Mins. I personally think that, and probably let's see who gets a chance in the top order. They can go with a domestic player as well. They have Reece Topley as well, but I don't think that will be needed. With Trent Bolt, obviously, I think will be the first choice out of these two players. I think Mumbai can even go with three foreign players. That will not make a big difference. They have that core of Indian team, so Indian core they have. I don't think that they'll be heavily dependent whether we want to go with four foreign Cs or not.
Yeah, definitely. I think you rightly mentioned as well because they have that luxury of going in with, let's say 8 Indians in the 11. So yeah, definitely they can go ahead with that. And talking about one weakness, I mean, I won't call it a weakness, but let's say that they have 11, a perfect 11, or rather a perfect 12, or even let's say 14-member squad, correct? But do they have the right backups? That is a question that definitely arises in my mind. Because if this first 11 can stay fit for the 14 games, right? Or rather for the 16 games, let's say that let's take playoffs into contention as well. So if this first 11 can stay fit for 16 games, I think definitely they are a championship contender. But the thing is, do they have the right backups? Because they have backups in the form of, as you mentioned, Reece Topley is a backup that they have for Trent Bolt. They have Lizard Williams, and they have the New Zealand batter as well. Jacob, I'm not able to recollect his full name. I think Jacobs.
Bevan, Bevan Jacobs.
Yeah, Bevan
Bevan,
Jacobs. Yes, yeah. Bevan Jacobs. I mean, we've seen Mumbai Indians do that as well. They were the first ones to pick the Tristan Stubbs. So
yeah,
you can expect a lot from Devon Jacobs as well. If he could prove to be a good backup. So in that regard, I think backups are a slight question because if you have Deepak, if you can see Deepak Chahar, Hardik Pandya, in some instances maybe Surya Kumar Yadav, these players sometimes tend to get injured. So in that
yeah.
regard, maybe if that is a problem that they face, we have to see how they're going to bounce back. But otherwise, if things are going to go proper, I think this 11 is unbeatable and a definite playoff candidate in my opinion.
Yes, definitely. I totally agree with you. If all the players remain fit, they can definitely play the finals as well. I personally think that.
Yes, definitely. And with Mahela Jayawardene at the helm of things, I think definitely they're going to be that old 2020 Mumbai Indians that they're going to come in raging hard.
I don't want to see that Mumbai.
Yeah, true.
I want my team RCB. I think you also don't want Mumbai to be in that kind of form, right? I want I
Yeah, yeah,
want the
definitely.
I want Indian players to do well, but I don't want MI to win.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I have that thought as well, but I think considering India's form, or rather all that in mind, I think definitely Indian players, even I would like them to do well because the likes of Hardik Pandya, Surya Kumar Yadav, they're all doing well. I think Indian cricket is in a good atmosphere, right? So in that regard, yes, if this Mumbai Indians team comes to form, right? I think IPL will become very dominant, and at one point in time, I think its entertainment factor will get reduced. So, in that regard, yes, you were right. Your point was right. And yes, what do you think? You also predicted that they might get into the finals as well, and no surprises. If you're a definite playoff candidate, I think the probability of playing the playoff is actually higher. So yeah, the
Yeah,
finals rather is very high. So yeah, moving on to the next team, we have talked. We have spoken about two proper teams, proper gun teams, and moving to the other, we are going to talk about Sunrise Hyderabad. So I mean, the last season, the previous season runners up, they have done really well. They've. I mean, they were also pretty much said they have some. They are a team who have a foreign core, right? If you could say that they have a proper foreign core, the likes of Travis Head, Henry Klassen, the captain Pat Cummins, one of the best captains going around in the modern day cricket. So, they have the likes of Abhishek Sharma as well, Nitish Kumar Reddy, who's been an absolute, revelation in this Border Gavaskar Trophy as well for India. So, in that regard, I think their team was also pretty much set. They had to go in with five tensions, and they have done it perfectly. And the six that they had to fill up, I think they had to fill it up with the Indian core, and they have absolutely done the job, in my opinion, because they have gone with the likes of Ishan Kishan. And with the likes of Ishan Kishan, yes, there people had raised questions. If he's going to open, he's going to give his best. But I think Ishan Kishan at number three is
Yeah,
something that it is going to it is from the outside, it has shown the approach that they want to take. It is very simple. It is the approach that has worked for them in the last season. So
yes,
what they're automatically conveying is that we are going to bring in Ishan Kishan maybe at number three or number four, and what we are going to do is that we're going to go in all guns blazing, which has worked for us. So I think that is going to be a good strategy as well. They've gotten Mohammad Shami, and I think if Mohammad Shami is fully fit, he's going to be. I mean, if we know the damage that he can do, and they've gotten Harshal Patel as well, because for a fact that Hyderabad has become a slightly flatter wicket in the last two seasons. So I definitely think that Harshal Patel's inclusion is very good. And last season we spoke about the weakness that they don't have a spinner as well, like a bankable spinner. Yes, for some reason they couldn't play Washington Sundar for most of the games last season. But this time around they've gotten Adam Zampa and Rahul Chahar, so two dependable spinners. So I think
yeah.
they've done their auction cutout. What do you think?
I was just about to mention Adam Zampa because I was just seeing the squad and I saw the name of Adam Zampa. I was not aware that he's in the SRH team, but I personally think
Okay.
yes, probably according to me, if I have to pick any specific spinner, not Indian spinner but foreign spinner, who has done well in T20 for last 5 6 years, there's no doubt there's Adam Zampa far ahead than anyone else because he's I think the only one who has made it into the 11 of Australia for so long. And it's very difficult to do that as an individual spinner because obviously in Australia, if you are there as a leg spinner, there's only one spot, not even two. So he has taken that position and he has been there for a long time.
Mm.
So I think if he gets a chance, it all depends on that because he's played for various teams now in the last 4 years. But again, according to the condition, what is the team lineup, what is the combination of the foreign players, all these factors, if all suits according to him, and he gets a chance again, he can be the X factor that I think SRH needed. And obviously with Rahul Chahar adding in, that makes it slightly more difficult for him to be in the 11. But obviously Rahul Chahar again, we were talking about underrated players. We mentioned Adam Zampa as well and few other players earlier, but I think yes, he's also very underrated. And again, he's someone who is very economical. He had a decent season with Punjab the last year season. Before that, again, was not the best, but I think he can again play a very important role. Especially he's a domestic player as well, so probably will get a chance to be in most of the matches. And again, talking about Ishan Sharma, I think a very left-hand batting heavy team is there. If we
Yes.
see the Sunrisers Hyderabad, so probably the teams that will be playing against them, again the role of off spinner will be really high of the opposition. But yes, I personally think Ishan Kishan will do well. Most of the people have that notion that he's very arrogant, he's not focused. But I personally think that's only the perception. Obviously, playing at an international level, if you're not focused, you can't survive. So if he's there
Exactly.
for a long, he has done few things that most of the players haven't done. So I think yes, probably hoping best for him. And if and especially the conditions as well, what we have seen last year in Hyderabad, the conditions that are there, probably the best conditions for any batter to bat, and especially for a batter like him who just wants to go hard, keeping everything aside, quick 40, quick 50. I think that will be the role assigned to him. And yes, I think on paper, again, probably one of the strongest team. As we discussed, MI as well. I think even stronger than CSK, definitely the SRH 11.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, and I think you brought in the point of Ishan Kishan as well. I think the atmosphere of the team matters a lot. The approach of the team matters a lot because Ishan Kishan is somebody, like you mentioned, likes to bat free. That is, likes to express himself, right? So from ball one, likes to express himself, and if he can be put into that setup, I think he's definitely going to, bring his strength. That is going to play his game. And definitely, I think that is going to bring in a lot of dividends there. And we have spoken for a fact that these kind of surfaces that are recently put in Hyderabad. I think he's going to definitely be a very good inclusion in that side. And the only weakness I can think about this team is that in the Indian core, I think they've managed pretty decently with the Indian core because they went in with just 45 crores into the auction, if I'm not wrong. And
Yeah.
from there on, actually, what they have done is, I think, a tremendous job because they've actually allocated more than one fourth of their budget to only to Ishan Kishan. And from there on to do this job because they've bought in Mohammad Shami, as we have discussed. Harshal Patel is there. They have Rahul Chahar. They've bought in bowlers like Braden Cars, who's been a backup. So a lot. I know Adam Zampa. They've covered up the spin department as well. And for the like to like replacement, if you could say, they have bought in Abhinav Manohar for Abdul Samad. So
Abhinav,
yeah.
yeah,
So uh,
yeah. I think
yeah.
they have
So
Simarjeet as.
that is also a replacement. Yes.
I think Simarjeet can also be a good replacement because he had a decent season with CSK. So I think yes, as you mentioned, what they have done with their remaining budget, I think you have to give credits to the management as well, how they have allocated the players, and I think they have done really well. Obviously, with Pat Cummins there and the kind of mentality he has, especially in the big games. I think they're all set. You're talking about weakness. What according to you think that this team is lacking with?
Yes, I mean the Indian core. I think the only thing is if the Indian core can perform for the next 3 years, I think
Yeah,
that is the will the Indian core perform for the next 3 years because the likes of Abhishek Sharma, Ishan Kishan, Mohammad Shami, no doubt. I think he's a legend of Indian cricket also, if you can say that. Then that they have the likes of Rahul Chahar, they have the likes of Abhinav Manohar. So if these players can come together, and most importantly, if Travis Head Henrik Klassen, we have not spoken about Henrik Klassen, by the way. Henrik Klassen, and at the other end, if you can talk about Pat Cummins, right? So, if this foreign combination can do what they have done last year, can consistently do what they have done last year, and if they fail to do that, I think that's where a weakness comes in. And adding to that point, I think on surfaces, let's say for instance, as we have discussed, Chennai Super Kings now, and maybe we can talk teams like Lucknow Super Giants as well. When you're going to play in stadiums like Chepauk or Ekana Stadium, I think in those kind of stadiums, if you're going to put in a slow turner, right? Maybe a slower batting wicket. I think this team might struggle. That is my opinion that I want to bring as a weakness because if I was there in an opposition, that's what I would think. And if my spinners are good as well, let's say that you're playing in Wankhede, right? And you have maybe a slow track. You bring in a slow track, but on the other hand, if you put in a slow track, even with Mumbai Indians having those stroke makers, they also might struggle. That is a different scenario altogether. But yes, to maybe resist the batting powers of SRH, I think that is something that we teams can think about. But otherwise, not a proper weakness that we can see inside this team. Not a
yes,
solid
definitely.
weakness.
Yes, I think only CSK I think is a team that can have a advantage over it when they'll be playing in Chepauk. But I think most of the teams, if they go with that slower track, they themselves will struggle a lot. I think that can be a case. Yeah. But I think yes, on paper, probably one of the best teams. Again, SRH.
Yeah,
Next team.
and most importantly, I think Cummins said if they can perform, they can have one more playoff as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, moving ahead to the next team, Rajasthan Royals. So I definitely think Rajasthan Royals. I mean, I'm 100% satisfied with their auction because, to be very honest with you, because I think. Previous to the auction, prior to the auction, in our Wicket Whispers channel as well, we were discussing for a fact that we were not 100% satisfied with their retentions because they had bought, they had retained Dhruv Jurel and Shimron Hetmeyer for maybe close to 25%, 25 crores, which is nearly 20% of your purse, right? So in that regard, we were slightly not satisfied with the tensions, but with 41 crores, I think they have done the job well, and definitely because they knew for a fact that they have gotten five solid Indians who are going to be a part of the 11, right? So what is the luxury that they had? They had to fill in 5 spots. They had the only foreigner in their attention was Shimron Hetmeyer. So out of the remaining five slots that they had to fill, they could afford three foreigners, which was a huge luxury in my opinion. So I think they have done that really well because they have gone with Deekshana, Hasaranga, and Jofra Archer. So these three bowlers are going to be a solid part of your bowling core, and that is going to be something that will provide them a lot of cushion as well. And they've gone with good backups. I mean, decent Indian bowlers as well. Tushar Deshpande, yes, he's gone for runs, but can pick wickets as well, and has that knack of picking wickets. Akash Madwal has had pretty much decent success in the IPL before, so I think they have built a decent team.
Yes, I think the team, especially if we compare it with the budget they were having, according to that, if we compare, I think yes, they have done a decent job. I personally think the only area where they haven't had success at this moment, I think, especially if we see the last year as well, there were few matches that they lost because of the lower order batting. Shemron Hetmeyer didn't had best of the seasons last year, so they had Robin Powell to just fill in. I think at this moment, except Shemron Hetmeyer, I can't see any other player who can just come in and tong few big ones for the role of a pinch hitter, if I say, for the last 3 overs or last 4 overs, because I think Jurel is going to bat slightly up. Same will be the case for Riyan Parag. So I think yes, only a proper finisher. If we see there's Shannon Hetmeyer, any Indian finisher or even foreign finisher like David Miller or anyone
Hmm.
like Living, we needed someone like that. I think that is missing. And especially, obviously, I would love to see how will they replace Josh Butler. I want to see because again now the responsibility will be on Jaiswal to score a lot of runs. So I personally think as an opener, obviously it will be very difficult to fill in the shoes of Josh Butler. But obviously we
Yes.
all know Sanju is going to open along with Jaiswal. I personally think that because he has started opening in for India as well,
Yeah,
so he's
definitely.
probably going to open. But still, to replicate what Butler has done for them, I don't think it's going to be easy for them. And yes, one finisher. I think these are the two areas where I think that they're slightly weak.
Yeah, I mean, rightly mentioned, but one thing they've done well is they've bought Nitish Rana, right? So what this will do is, I think they can, try to, I mean, similar to what we have spoken to CSK, they actually have that flexibility in their batting. So, that is the advantage of having five Indian batters, five quality Indian batters in your 11. So what it tends to do is, you can play around with the batting. You can maybe open with Samson and Jaiswal, have one of Parag or Nitish Rana play 3 and 4. They can interchange according to the situation, and you can try to bring in someone like a Shubham Dubey at number 5, right? So you can maybe try to bring in Jurel at 6, hit Hetmeyer at 7, because yeah, I think at this point in time, the way Jurel has batted for India, or rather for in the India A games as well, I think
Yeah.
he would be preferred top of the order. But if you feel that you have that, you have that weakness down the order, you have put a lot of excess pressure into Shimron Hetmeyer. In that sense, I think Jurel down the order is going to be helpful. But otherwise, I think Jurel is going to play more of top of the order, and more importantly, they have the cushion of Wanindu Asaranga. And Vanindu
Yeah.
Asaranga is someone who in the Lanka Premier League plays at number 3. So he's someone, and for Sri Lanka as well, if he plays at number 6. So in that regard, I think if you can even promote Hasaranga, so now the batting lineup will look like, you can, as far as the finishing is concerned, it will look like Shimron Hetmeyer, Dhruv Jurel, Vanindu Asaranga. So I think that is a more than a reliable finishing commodity that you can depend on.
Yes, I think as you mentioned about Shubham Dubey as well, I think the primary reason why they have gone with him is to fill in the number 5, number 6 spot only. Because again, he's someone who's a power hitter as well, but who has both the games. But probably, I think at this moment he can do the job at number 5 or number 6 as well. I think that's why they've gone with him, and with impact player in, they can obviously substitute him for the second innings. So yes, I got your point, but I still think that slightly they could have gone with a specific person for that. But yes, as you mentioned, I clearly forgot about Vanindu Hasranga, who could have done the job for this. But yes, with this they are looking slightly better as you described.
Yes, rightly mentioned, and what I was thinking as well is the performance of the Indian batters is going to be very, very important in my opinion, because I think they have slightly excess pressure now at this point in time. The Indian batters has to deliver at this point in time, so that if they can have a good season, if Sanju Samson can have that 500 run season, if Yashasvi Jaiswal can have that 500 run season as you mentioned, I think they're going to go good. But yes, again, once again, except for this first 11, I think they've had issues. I mean, they might have the backup issues. And, we need to talk about Vaibhav Suryavanshi as well. I mean, he's a 13-year-old player who's represented India under 18. And it's a dream for many of us, right? Like, we all start to dream for playing for India at the age of 13. So, I mean, he's right there. So credit to him as well. So, what do you think? And what were you doing at that point in time?
Actually, I was not aware. I was in the flight. So when I got down, I know that a 13-year-old is sold for that much amount of money. So yes, the first thing was to not pick up my parents' call. But yes, coming right to the next point, I've seen his pictures, bro. He has played really well and
Yeah.
recently played the finals as well against Bangladesh, which unfortunately we
Yes.
lost. But yes, I think most of the things that I've heard about him obviously has been good. I haven't seen him playing live, so I don't have a very clear image of how a batter he is. But probably what I've heard about him, that has given me a good example or good things about his batting. That has always been a case. So let's see. I think this IPL will give us more clarity on how exactly he's going to be used in the 11. Whether if he gets a chance.
Yeah, more importantly, and Rahul Dravid as well, being at the helm of things, that he likes to groom these players, groom these Indian cricketers around him. So yes, I think a similar case of Mumbai Indians as well, Rajasthan Royals. This first 11 is very good. They can have a solid season if all of these 11 players can, or 11 or 13 players rather, can stay fit, right? But otherwise, I think they might struggle if with the backups.
Yeah. Last predictions.
So
Whether this I want to ask you: is Rajasthan playing the playoffs in 25? What do you think?
Uh, I
Yes.
doubt. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure. Not able to, because the previous seasons you look at the team. You see in Jones Butler, you see Trent Bolt, you see Ashwin Chahal. You know that you have 12 overs of bowling covered. You have a very good batting lineup. You have the likes of Samson Jaiswal. Yes, they are still there, but with Josh Butler in there, I think Josh Butler is. I think sometimes, right? It's all about psychology, right? If they're sitting in the opposition dugout, even today, if you can say that there is a David Warner, there is a Chris Gale in the opposition, that scares you, right? But so
Yeah.
I think that psychological factor is something that was more with Rajasthan Royals, but this time around it has slightly reduced, and they don't have that explosive foreign opener. That I think that is also something that we will discuss about, or rather we had discussed about. Yes, and if the Indian core can perform, I think they can go a long, long way.
Okay. So yes or no?
I think no. At this point, no. Right, guys. So that was the preview of the four teams rather that we have discussed: Chennai Super Kings, Mumbai Indians, Rajasthan Royals, Sunrisers Hyderabad. And I personally think that three out of the four teams that we have discussed, can be a solid
Yeah.
qualification, right? So they can prove to be a solid top four teams. So definitely. So what do you think, Ritik, of these four teams that we've discussed?
I personally think yes, MI, CSK, and already discussed SRH. I think these three teams we probably can see them in the playoffs. But yes, that was the case when we discussed the earlier four teams as well. When we were talking about GT or LSG or KKR as well. So yes, very difficult to say. But I personally think out of all these four teams, I think if we have to say, probably MI and SRH are looking slightly better than CSK and RR. Yes. So yes, I personally think
Yes.
these two teams are slightly ahead. But yes, we have always seen that in IPL. Whatever the team is on the paper, we have seen most of the times the teams that are not very strong end up playing playoffs and are normally winning as well. So I think that on paper is a very difficult way to predict who's going to be in the playoffs. But yes, at this moment, I think MI and SRH are slightly better than these two teams.
Yes, definitely. As you discussed, it's very difficult, right? That is the quality of such a tournament like the IPL, because it tends to be very, very difficult to analyze on who can actually, make it to the top four, right? So, yes, that was our discussion. So, guys, if you like this video, do like and share it with your friends, and do put your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like our content, please subscribe to our channel, and I'll give the description in the link as well of Wicket Whispers, where Ritik is have doing a lot of cricket content, providing a lot of cricket content, quality content, most importantly, in both Hindi and English as well. So you can definitely check it out, and we both will join in another video, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Cheers.